welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Aaron Porras, and coming up in today's newscast, JCPOA nuclear talks with Iran resuming in Vienna, but negotiating parties all coming with a very different view of how the talks are going to proceed. Meantime, archaeologists unearthing and solving new mysteries about ancient Jewish life in the Holy Land. And finally, a special ILTV exclusive interview with the greatest Israeli racer to ever hit the pavement, Nascar-Whelen Series professional stock car driver Alon. The day has come, Iran finally returning to nuclear negotiations in Vienna opposite Western powers. The P5+1 with the United States working indirectly, meeting in efforts to return Iran and the United States to compliance with the 2015 JCPOA nuclear deal. Israel and Western states still doubtful, though, that Iran negotiating in good faith, especially as Tehran continuing to insist that the coming talks will solely address the lifting of crippling sanctions against Iran. Negotiations with Iran in Vienna restarting November 29, world powers working to return to the tenets of the 2015 JCPOA agreements that then-President Donald Trump pulled the United States out of in 2018. Iran, at the time, also accused of breaching the spirit, if not also the letter of the deal, because of Tehran's continued support for proxy terrorism in the region and their development of ICBMs. And today, still far from Western hopes, Iran continuing its military development and nuclear enrichment while pushing for the lifting of sanctions to be the only topic of discussion for the time being, pressures that the P5+1 aren't explicitly refuting yet.
رفع تحریم ها بیاد برای رفع واقعی تحریم ها بیاد قطعاً میتونه بلیت بازگشت به اتاق برجام رو هم دریافت کنه اگر نه همچنان خارج از میز برجام باقی خواهند بود طرف‌های مقابل این پنجره فرصت رو باید مغتنم بشمرن چون این پنجره فرصتی نیستش که تا ابد باز بمونه.
Israel then facing an increasingly threatening and armed Iran, again urging the West to at least condition renewed talks on Iran's halting of uranium enrichment. This as Israel claiming that Iran is just using the talks as a way to buy time without actually intending to follow through on the world's demands. Iran now already sitting on a growing stockpile of nearly 2,500 kilos of uranium, including at least 114 kilos enriched beyond 20% and 18 kilos enriched beyond 60%, short technical leaps from the 90% enrichment needed for weapons-grade material.
שיחות הגרעין בין איראן למעצמות יתחדשו בימים הקרובים בווינה. ישראל מוטרדת מאוד מהנכונות להסיר את הסנקציות ולאפשר זרימה של מיליארדים לאיראן בתמורה להגבלות לא מספקות בתחום הגרעין. זה מסר שאנחנו מעבירים בכל דרך, גם לאמריקנים, גם לשאר המדינות שנושאות ונותנות עם איראן. שר החוץ יעביר מסר זהה בפגישותיו בלונדון ובפריז השבוע. חשוב מאוד שבעניינים שנוגעים לביטחון המדינה, הממשלה מדברת בקול אחד.
Slightly good news then, some of the P5+1 listening closely. Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid and UK Foreign Minister Liz Truss, for one, announcing a close cooperation between the two countries to thwart Tehran's ambitions. And likewise, United States envoy for Iran, Robert Malley, giving assurances that if Iran thinks it can use this time to build leverage and then come back saying they want something better, it won't work. We and our partners won't go for it. And of course, as seen in several recent joint military drills, if negotiations don't really work, Israel and world powers also already preparing a plan B. So are the resuming JCPOA negotiations set up for success or failure? And is Iran serious at all about the talks in the first place? Joining us to discuss is research fellow at the Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University and former senior staff in the United States Congress, Dr. Fadi Ismail. Dr. Ismail, it's a pleasure as always to have you with us. Now, how are these negotiations different to those done back in 2015?
Well, it's kind of the same and very different. The same is the fact that we have an administration that is very similar to the administration that we had.